Today we're going to do a Christmas craft. We're going to make these little ornaments. You have two options with the lace trim. It's got green snowflakes on the back, or a little bit more plain. We're going to make them out of a juice can lid. You know the lids from concentrated juice, you know, apple juice, grape juice, orange juice. Save the little lids until you have, you know, as many as you need for the project. Scrap red paper, scrap green paper, scrap white paper, or whatever color you want. I just happen to go with the traditional Christmas colors, green and red and white. This project was made entirely from things I had on hand. Leftover scrapbook pieces of paper, leftover cardboard that probably came out of the back of a picture frame or a package or something, and juice tops, juice lids, you know, from condensed frozen orange juice or apple juice or grape juice, whatever. Just make sure that you wash them well and dry them. Of course, I saved these for quite some time. I just made it a habit. I said there's so many possibilities you can do with that thing. You could even decorate them and put a pin on the back to make a button. Do some sort of decoration, either foam that you can cut out and glue on, or you can paint them, or you can do punches. I have an example. Hold on. This is a punched design. This happens to be a cross, and you just would lay it on a piece of wood and get a hammer and a nail, and you punch out a design. So I haven't decorated it or anything, but this could also, when this is held up to the light shines through, and you can see the design. You could even do a fabric-covered piece of cardboard, some sort of a design over a fabric, and then you know the fabric would come around, and you have to clip it and glue it on the back, and then you just stick it in there, and then you have a pin. But today we're going to make ornaments. I'm going to do two options. There's this one that's plain, or this one that's a little bit more fancy. If you have everything pre-cut, you could do this as a class project, a Christmas craft for children. It would not be hard to do. I use tacky glue and a stick to apply the glue, and when I'm not using the glue, I put the cap on, and I have a little jar that I stand my stick up in, so I'm not laying it down and getting glue all over my workspace. I like to use a glue stick for gluing those on. And of course, I am using these die cuts for this ornament. We are going to use die cuts from our shapes. I need the circle that matches the shape, the size of our juice cover lid. And from this set, I'm going to use the two little snowflakes. And then from this set, I'm going to use this. It could be a flower, but I think it looks like a pretty snowflake. So I'm using my magnet to hold the pieces that I'm using for this project. I do try to use up scraps. This paper was left over from another project, and it's cardstock, so I don't want to throw it away. Well, I just used it for this project, and you can see the little snowflakes that are cut out. Well, I'm actually going to do something with that because I don't like to waste paper. I am going to come in and I'm going to cut out the little squares where the snowflakes were, because I want to save those squares, because you can even use the negative space. So you're not just limited to using those, because I'm using that for this project, but I don't want to throw this away, so I'll cut out each of those squares for another project, which I have no plans for at the moment, but I'll have those anyways. That way I can use up every little scrap possible So this project cost me $0. The only thing that I went out to buy were these little clips. But I've had these for a couple of years. I bought them for another project. And oh yes, you know what I use these for at Christmas time? I have a string suspended between on two places, and I use these to hold my Christmas cards. I put it on the string. The string stays up year round. I never take the string down. You never notice it because it's a skinny little string. So I use these little clips to display my Christmas cards. I just clip it to hold the card up. Let me see, let me grab something as an example. Let's just say this was a card and I have a string, so I put this over the string and I would hold my cards, so my cards would be on display. No tape in the wall. I don't have to take down the string when I'm done. So these little clips, that's what I use these little clips for. So I have those available. And then you may want some lace or ribbon or trim to finish the project. So there's all of our supplies. Let's get started. We're using a piece of scrap white cardstock. We position that, put on our cover, and we're using the Big Shot for our die cut. Okay, these are the pieces that I need. This is cut out, but you can see it's got a bunch of little pieces that need to come off. So we turn it over on the back side and we use our little brush. And I like to do this over a cup. We just kind of brush. Roll our brush over to knock out all those little tiny pieces. It'll get out most of them. It might not get out all of them. Okay. Now, when it doesn't get out all of them, then I use my little pin and I punch out the little pieces. You can see that I do this over the cup so I can catch my little pieces. And if you want, you can throw those pieces away, but I don't. I save them. Okay, I have all of them out. And once I have them all out, I just poke through a couple of holes so that I can slip my needle down behind and peel it off very gently. And there we have our snowflake design. I'm using a piece of cardboard. I need a circle of cardboard. It looks like it didn't come out, but it did. You could pop it out. See? It works. This is a very thin cardboard. I'm not sure what it is. And this probably came out of a package or a box or something, or the back of a picture frame. I save everything until I can exhaust the materials of it. This is a piece of leftover scrapbooking piece. Like I said, I save everything and I reuse things until it can't be used anymore. This is leftover from scrapbooking my children's scrapbooks. So I'm not spending any money on this project. Okay, and I do the same thing. I cut out a bunch of red ones and a bunch of green ones out of my scrap material, and I'll save this because there's still some paper here that could be used for some small cuts. And the next thing we need is our little clip. These little hooks come in a package like this. You'll find them in the stationery section at a hot craft store, Walmart, pharmacies. They're very common. They're tiny, tiny little clips. They don't cost very much. And the juice lid. So we have a snowflake, and we have two snowflakes that we're going to go glue on there. This is going to be the main thing. This is a juice cover lid. You know, those concentrated juice can lids, they have very smooth edges. All right, to put this together, they're just little clips. You can find them in the office supply. Alright, we're ready to put this together. Here's all of our parts. And first thing we can do is glue on our snowflakes. Be very careful that you don't tear up your snowflake. Center it. And I'm using 2 small snowflakes on the back side. I like to use glue sticks because it's a lot less messy than a tube of glue. I think I can control it better. Okay, we put our juice clip on. Notice that one side stands up straight and the other leans forward. The side that stays up straight is the flatter side. The one that leans forward, it's got a little more depth to it, see? Whereas this is more on top. So we're going to remove, just squeeze and take out that. And I'll save these because they might come in handy for some other project down the road. We're going to put a piece of cardboard in here, center it, make a mark, and then we're going to cut that piece out. That way it can go around a little notch here. And we're going to do the red will just go on top. It'll have a slight bump. We need to cut a notch out of the back too, and you decide how you want your stars to be. I don't want them side by side. I like it better to have one high and one low. Center it. Make a couple of pencil marks, and we'll cut out our notch. You don't have to go down very far. And we check it. There, that will work good. Okay, now because this side is sort of impressed, I've cut out a piece of cardboard and I cut out a notch for the thing to make it a little bit thicker. I cut this is just thin cardboard that I cut with my die cut. That'll be glued in there with tacky glue, and then I can put my red on top, and that way it's a little bit higher. I mean, you could do it without the piece of cardboard and just glue that in there, but you got sort of a bump right here. So to kind of even it out a little bit, see how I've cut a little notch? And we'll glue this to the front, and then we will glue this to the back. I also cut a notch out of the top of the green, and this will be the back of your ornament. Now you could just leave it just like that, or you could put a lace trim around it. You could leave the hook like this, put a Christmas hook on it, or you could tie some gold or silver ribbon on the top, or red ribbon or white ribbon, whatever you choose to hang it. Usually a lot of people will use those little hooks. They buy a bunch of hooks. I know I've got everything that I hang on my tree has its own little loop, but I always still wind up adding those extra little wire hooks because it's just easier to hang it on the tree. So it's up to you if you want to leave it just like that, or if you want to add a ribbon in addition to. But this way it'll hang straight. Right, now to put it together, I am using just a cheap little stick. I don't know where I got this from. For my tacky glue. And I'm going to cover this piece of cardboard with tacky glue. I could use hot glue, but what I found with hot glue is sometimes it doesn't hold over time. Tacky glue will stick to just about anything for any craft project. So I'm kind of partial to tacky glue. So we'll put that on there. And then make sure it's centered. And I don't want to use a paintbrush to put the glue on because the tacky glue would destroy my brush. So the stick works good. I have lots of sticks. I have no idea where I got them. I'm just a collector of stuff, I guess. Lately I've been throwing away a lot of stuff and giving away stuff just to get rid of stuff. But I'm only keeping what I want. Yeah, that looks good. I like it. It's only a slight bump right there. Okay, now for the back. I like to get good coverage. It doesn't need to be thick, but it needs to get good coverage. This is the paper that I'm using is scrapbook paper. You find it in the craft store in the scrapbook section. So you could leave it simple as that, and you have a little ornament, so if it turns around. Or you can add some lace around it. Now with the lace going around it, I'm going to use hot glue gun just for the lace because it's easier to put it on. The tacky glue would take longer to dry. It's fine for paper. It'll adhere and stick pretty good. But that looks pretty simple and pretty good out of a juice lid. All right, when measuring your piece of lace, set your ornament on this little edge right here. Have it start at the top. And I want this to come all the way around, and because I don't want any raw edges, I want the lace to overlap. And so if I'm going to put lace on it, then what I want to do is I want a ribbon right here, because this little hook is going to be hidden by the lace. And the reason I want the lace to overlap is because my raw edge, I'm going to take my raw edge and fold it over like that and glue it with the hot glue gun. So you could actually even do that first if you like. You want to check it to make sure that's going to work. And I'll probably put that on the back because this has got a lot of white with this being the front, and there's not a lot of white on the back. So, and this is the more flatter side, whereas this kind of insets just a little bit. So it would be best for it to be glued on the back side. Plus it will hide this little piece right here. We've already kind of hidden it on the front by putting the red piece of paper over top. The first thing I did was I put a little glue on the edge, and I used my stick to kind of roll it over the edge so that this is folded down. And I've got a piece of poster board because I don't want to get glue on my table, and I don't care about poster board. I can throw it away. Now I want to put my finished edge together to make our circle. But before I do, I want to check it. I want to just make sure that's going to work. Okay, that will work. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue right here and set this on there. Press it down with my stick, just kind of roll it. Pick it up from the paper so it doesn't stick to the paper. Make sure that's glued well. Alright. I'll give it a second for that to dry. Keep lifting it because I don't want it to Actually, I could use a little bit more right under that tip. I keep my glue gun in a dish. I guess I need to pull out so you can see. That way I'm not setting my glue down on anything that's going to be destroyed. This dish has gotten so messed up. I've used it for so many years. It's got lots of dried glue on it. I don't know, maybe it was a nut dish at one time. Okay. That was good. Now I'm going to put a row of glue all the way around the edge before I set that on top. And I think I'll put my my little hook on the very top. Let me zoom back in so you can see what I'm doing. Okay. Now, do I have enough glue? Right. Just gonna set that on the ouch. Got a little too close. It seeped around the edge. I'm gonna pick it up. I want to make some adjustments here with my little stick. Alright, I've decided to use this because I can glue it like that, and I could put it just between the silver thing and that. If I was going to do a ribbon, I would slip it through the loop and tie a knot, but I looked at silver, I looked at gold, and I think I decided maybe I'll just put it on top, glue it to the metal, so it kind of hides that all together. Yeah, that's what I'll do. Sometimes you have to play with things to figure out exactly what you want. First I want to put that in there. Try to keep my fingers out of the way. This is a very hot glue gun. Okay, now put another dab of glue on the top. Set it on there, and then I'll just kind of press it down with my stick. And so there you have it. And there's your little ornament. For this one, I've decided I'm not putting lace on it. I want to use silver. You could use gold if you prefer, but since everything on it so far is silver, that's silver and that's silver. Cut a piece. This is actually elastic. I liked it because it was shiny, silver, and it's very small. So loop it through and bring your two ends together. And then we're going to tie a knot, and we want to try to slide our knot down as close as we can to the bottom, and there we go. And then we have one just like that, front and back. So there's two ways of making your ornaments. You might even have, if you had everything pre-cut for the children, you could do this as a craft class, for a Christmas craft for a party or for a school classroom. So there's an idea for you. It's very cheap, especially if you're a scrapbooker or a card maker, and if you happen to be a Stampin' Up hobbyist, I guess, card maker, and you have access to the tools, you could use these things. But you could probably come up with your own ideas. And if you want to, you could put the child's name on it, maybe on the back where there's more space. You could put their name on it. You could put the year. You could even follow the dotted line, the punched out dotted line, and you could write the year, because you know some people like to collect ornaments for every year, and this might be a simple idea. You can also use this as a gift tag. When you give a gift, you can add them to the package so that they get a gift, plus they get an ornament to remember that year. So, hope you found this project fun. Have fun doing your simple ornaments. And these are just made from the leftover scraps from the last project. So this is like the third time the paper has been recycled, and that's what's left of the pile of paper. Now there's still some pieces that you can get small flowers or some green leaves out of. So I will probably go through that stack one more time before I actually throw anything out. So that'll be 4 times recycled. See, I reuse the bag. I store all these little things. I have no idea what I'm going to use them for, but they're ready-made, and I just used a little extra time to make them from the scraps. And so we'll just have them when I figure out what I want to use them for. They're already done. I can just pull them out and add them to a card or an envelope or a package or whatever. So, yeah, reuse everything.